Right now on Up with KREM, we're learning new details about the suspect in the Bourbon Street attack as people mourn the loss of 14 lives.
You don't get probably. You get I need to know.
Questions unanswered after an Airway Heights apartment building is evacuated. This comes after police say they may have found an explosive device inside one of the units.
Tracking a wintry mix of weather this morning that transitions into mostly rain today, while at the same time highlighting which areas have the greatest threat for a lasting snowfall.
Up with KREM begins now.
Good morning and thank you for joining us on Up with KREM. I'm Christian Garza. Tim has the morning off. We also want to welcome you if you're streaming us on KREM 2+. Now let's get into weather this morning, this beautiful Friday morning, right Thomas? Now while we did have some snow yesterday, it seems that none of it really stuck to the ground across the area. So let's toss things over to meteorologist Thomas Patrick in the Weather Center to learn more about what we can expect today. Good morning, Thomas.
Yeah, good morning, Christian. Yesterday, just kind of a little teaser of that snow, which maybe got a little slushy at times, but overall it was pretty wet. But on to the next one. So today, another chance for a wintry mix. Today's storm is going to be heavier overall, but it's also a little bit more likely going to be rainy, while at the same time, snow is most likely in our northern areas. There are these handful of winter weather advisories. This does include Spokane, and in this region, it is in effect until 1 p.m. this afternoon. That is for the threat, the potential, the chance for freezing rain. But the chance is pretty small, but it's really kind of a worst case scenario is what we want to give you the heads up for. At the moment, no precip yet over Spokane County, and it's been all rain to the south as of right now. But we're tracking this precipitation as it is only about 1 to 2 hours away to Spokane, at which point a wintry mix could be possible this morning.
Thank you, Thomas. Well, here's a live look at the traffic impact this morning. This is US 2 and Sunset Highway. As you can see, there's not a ton of cars on the road, but the roads are bare, a little bit wet like we were talking about from that snow-rain mix. On Up with KREM, we bring you weather and traffic every 30 minutes. Happening today, a status hearing is set for the lawsuit against Inland Power and Light regarding damages from the Gray Fire last year. 62 insurance companies filed that lawsuit alleging Inland Power knew a light was a fire risk and did nothing to fix it. A DNR report released in August of 2023 states a Medical Lake resident says they called Inland Power multiple times about the flickering outdoor light. They worried that a wire was possibly loose. The Gray Fire killed one person and caused more than $4 million in damages. The status hearing will be at 8:30 this morning. Stay tuned in our evening shows to hear what happened in court. New in the last 12 hours, we now know the identity of the man shot and killed near WSU last week. The Whitman County Coroner's Office says 28-year-old Darcy Spracklin died of multiple gunshot wounds. The coroner is ruling his death a homicide. The shooting happened on Greek Row last week. Pullman police are asking for people living in the area to send in any surveillance footage or doorbell camera video to help find the suspect. This morning, the man accused of causing a crash that killed a 5-year-old girl is facing multiple charges, including vehicular manslaughter, aggravated reckless driving, and possession of meth. 61-year-old Rick Gross made his first appearance in Bonner County Court yesterday. Gross's private lawyer asked the judge to reduce the bond amount, which was first set at $500,000. His lawyer also asked that he be put on house arrest instead of going to the Bonner County Jail, noting he's in a wheelchair and needs care from his family. A Bonner County judge granted these asks and dropped Gross's bond to $250,000. 5-year-old Amelia Carollo's family was at yesterday's hearing and said they're upset by this outcome. Amelia's uncle shared this statement: "One of the most upsetting factors discovered during the request for a reduced bond was that Gross was late for an eye appointment. My niece died because Mr. Gross thought it was more important to be on time for an eye appointment." New this morning, the death of a California man who died Monday at Schweitzer has been ruled an accident. According to the Bonner County coroner, the 72-year-old man died after he fell into a tree well and suffocated. Officials still have not released the man's name. This morning, some people living in Airway Heights are still searching for answers. This comes after police had to evacuate the apartment building after police say they may have found an explosive device inside one of the units. KREM 2's Connor McAvoy spoke to one mother who was disappointed with officials' limited communication.
Did I get clearance to leave or clearance to come back?
Melissa Cheney has lived in the Basalt Ridge apartment complex for almost 3 years. She was at work when she says her neighbor contacted her, saying the apartment building was evacuated. Airway Heights police were assisting with a search warrant out of Stevens County when they entered an apartment in Cheney's same unit. That unit was the only one evacuated. Police say they found a suspicious device in the apartment they were searching. Cheney says police locked down just her building, forcing neighbors to leave their homes for several hours. This kept Cheney from getting her son's medication.
He's epileptic, and so he has to have his meds. But if I'm willing to put my life on the line for 1 minute to run upstairs and grab his meds, then why is it not okay?
Cheney relied on her neighbor and social media to find out if it was safe to come back.
That's probably like the scariest part, is like no actual people told me what I had to do.
Airway Heights police allowed residents to return to their homes at 5:30 p.m. They say the investigation is still ongoing.
When you have a special needs kid on meds, you don't get probably. You get, I need to know.
As she says her and her family are trying to move forward from the evacuation, saying communication under an emergency situation is key.
Time is 6:06 as we take another look at our weather forecast. No rain, no snow just yet here in Spokane, but we're probably only about 1 or 2 hours away from that beginning. But here's the thing, we're at 32 degrees, which means any first drops of precip could either be freezing rain or a wintry mix because it is going to be that close of a call. At the moment, it looks like there is kind of that wintry mix starting to set up over Lincoln County. Not a lot in terms of precipitation, but this wave is starting to encounter some of that slightly colder air. So it will be a fine line for a few hours this morning in terms of that wintry mix or the threat for freezing rain. But the afternoon, as it warms up, even to just 37 degrees, a mainly rainfall event. But I'll show you what areas will still get more snow than not. So those details coming up in just a couple minutes.
Thank you, Thomas. In the next 5 minutes
That's
on
what
Up with KREM.
I'm holding on to, treasuring that God allowed me to have that time with him last night.
In the next 5 minutes on Up with KREM, we're hearing from a mother of a victim who died in this week's Bourbon Street attack.